So this shot was taken using $10,000 of camera gear, and this shot was taken using an iPhone 15 Pro Max. Yep, these look pretty similar. Does this mean that cameras are dead? We have dozens of shocking examples to go through in this video, so stick around to find out. Kevin Raposo here with SpeedyPhotographer.com, and in about 20 seconds we're going to be comparing the brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max to $10,000 of professional camera gear. Our camera today is the Canon R5 that I'm going to be matching up carefully with the 3 iPhone lenses. All photos will be shot in JPEG format with absolutely no editing whatsoever. All videos will be shot in 4K at 24 frames per second. And if you stick around until the end of the video, I've partnered with Kingston to give away 6 free XS1000 and XS2000 1TB SSDs. So keep watching and I'll talk about how you can win one for free a little later on. Let's jump straight into the comparison by testing portrait mode. First up, here's picture number 1 and number 2. If you guessed picture number 1, you got it right. Next we have picture number 3 and 4. Picture number 3 was taken with the iPhone. And finally we have picture number 5 and 6. Picture number 6 was taken with the iPhone. The thing that really shocks me with portrait mode on the iPhone 15 Pro Max is how far things have come. The depth of field flawlessly wraps around human subjects with intricate details like strands of hair. And with inanimate objects, the LiDAR technology being used by the iPhone 15 Pro Max can create some very accurate depth maps. Have a look at the ground here. It isn't just a flat blur like we used to see in earlier iterations of portrait mode, it's a gradient blur which slowly fades and increases in strength as objects are further away from the camera. It's this type of gradient blur which really sells portrait mode and makes it more believable. Next, let's test out cinematic mode. So again, I want you to guess which of these videos was taken with the iPhone. First up, here's video number 1, and here's video number 2. If you guessed video number 1, you got it right. Next, we have video number 3 and video number 4. Video number 4 was taken with the iPhone. Now, unlike portrait mode, cinematic mode isn't able to recreate a shallow depth of field with the same level of accuracy, which is a clear giveaway when compared to the Canon R5. Shooting video is effectively shooting 24 pictures a second, and no mobile phone can process all of that in real time. With that being said, I will note that the rack focusing effect does look very believable. Cinematic mode does a great job of simulating that slow shift in depth of field, as you can see in this example. Alright, so now let's test the resolution when using the standard lens. For this section of the comparison, I want to focus specifically on detail and pixel peeping. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is advertised as having a 48 megapixel sensor, and the Canon R5 happens to have a 45 megapixel sensor, so this makes for a pretty interesting test. First up, here's picture number 1 and picture number 2. If you guessed picture number 2, you got it right. Next, we have picture number 3 and picture number 4. The correct answer here is picture number 3. I was shocked to see that this tiny little sensor could resolve as much detail as it did. I could still tell which shots were taken with the Canon R5, but the difference wasn't as big as I expected it to be. Now, of course, things fall apart quickly in low light environments, like this example up on screen, but my point stands. For day-to-day use, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is more than sharp enough. Moving on, let's test the ultra-wide lens. First up, here's picture number 1 and 2. If you guessed picture number 2, you got it right. Next, we have picture number 3 and 4. Picture number 3 was taken with the iPhone. And finally, we have picture number 5 and 6. And picture number 5 was taken with the iPhone. Now, the biggest giveaway when it comes to every one of these pictures is the corner sharpness. And in this case, the wide-angle lens in the iPhone 15 Pro Max just can't produce the same amount of detail as the much larger dedicated lens like the Canon 16-35mm f4 that I was using. You can really see it here when I zoom into this brick in the corner. The R5 retains a lot of detail, whereas the iPhone 15 Pro Max begins to fall apart. Last but not least, let's test the telephoto lens. First up, here's picture number 1 and picture number 2. If you guessed picture number 1, you got it right. Next, we have picture number 3 and picture number 4. The correct answer here is picture number 4. And finally, we have picture number 5 and picture number 6. The right answer here is picture number 5. First of all, I just want to say that the 5x telephoto lens in the iPhone 15 Pro Max is a significant improvement over the 3x telephoto lens in the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Have a look at these two shots that I took side by side. You can see how much closer I'm able to get to my subject and how much more detail that I'm able to resolve. But as with most phone cameras, the optics of a tiny zoom lens inside of this iPhone can't possibly compare to a dedicated telephoto lens like the Canon 70-200mm f2.8 that I was using. There just isn't anywhere near as much detail, and the bokeh is just not quite as believable. But things are starting to come a long way here. When I shoot with the 5x telephoto lens in portrait mode, you can see that this shot of the seagull actually doesn't look bad at all. And it's also pretty amazing to see how much detail the iPhone 15 Pro Max is pulling out of some of these pictures. Have a look at this shot of the building zoomed in to 100%. And now have a look at where I was standing. The fact that I can even make out any detail at all with this tiny little lens is pretty impressive. Alright, so the big question, are professional cameras dead? The truth is that iPhone and mobile phone cameras in general have improved to the point where I no longer feel the need to bring my camera gear with me for personal reasons, and I find myself using the iPhone more often for professional reasons. I never would have said those words as recently as 3 years ago. I put together a comparison using the iPhone 12 back in 2020, and I can truly say that it was good, but it wasn't quite to the point where I'd consider bringing it on location with me for professional use. Let me show you something. I took these pictures with the iPhone 14 Pro Max a couple of weeks ago. Even when I pixel peep, these are still impressive, clean images with very little post-processing required. In any kind of personal setting, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Low effort and high quality images. And even in a professional setting, I'm beginning to find that my iPhone has a purpose, especially when it comes to the real estate work that I do. Here's a quick picture that I shot in portrait mode for a real estate agent. Portrait mode was faster, easier, and he was able to share it immediately. Happy client. Now on the video side of things, here's a TikTok that I shot for a recent listing. The only thing I used was a gimbal and an iPhone. And more importantly, I was able to tack on an additional $100 charge for a job that I was already doing. Which leads me to my point. No, professional cameras are not dead. I still can't shoot razor sharp 50 megapixel images on my iPhone without pixel binning. I still can't shoot 4K at 120 frames per second like this on an iPhone. But if you've been watching me or this YouTube channel for any extended length of time, you'll know that I'm a strong proponent of adopting new technologies and leveraging them to monetize your work. And there's no reason that you can't do the same thing. So if you're looking to learn more about photography and how to monetize your work, you might want to check out my online photography school, Speedy Photographer. I have hundreds of students who have all been blown away by the quality of my training material and eventually began taking pictures like this. So if this sounds like something that's interesting to you, link in the description below. Last but not least, contest time. If you want to win a free Kingston XS1000 or XS2000 1TB SSD, all you have to do is like this video and leave me a comment below. Seriously, that's it. Just leave me a comment and let me know what you thought of this video. That's all you need to do to become like one of these other lucky people who won free Kingston memory cards in the past. The XS1000 has speeds of up to 1050 megabytes per second read and 1000 megabytes per second write. The XS2000 is rugged, it's waterproof, and it has speeds of up to 2000 megabytes per second read and write, so don't miss out on an opportunity to get these for free. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more valuable content just like this, and I'll see you in the next video.